Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. Welcome to Politics Today. I am Real Saint on Marshall, standing for Solid Kokoso, who is unavoidably absent due to some other external broadcast duties. Not to worry, next week Sunday we'll be here to take you live on the program Politics Today. In course of this program, we may have reasons to hook up to Nigeria's premier private university, the University of Okada, for the 19th convocation ceremony. So when the signal comes, immediately we'll hook up to them to get to know what is happening over there to celebrate the 19th convocation ceremony. Well, today on Politics Today is all about what is happening in our country in terms of security. Last week, one Aisha got so angry and said, look for what is going on in Kaduna Abuja Road, where kidnappers had a free day, so to speak, came out to kidnap so many persons for hours, no response. And that wasn't the first or second or third time it's happening on that particular highway. The youths came out in mass to protest. They even blocked the road temporarily for them to have this response from the federal government. According to a report, nothing tangible has been done. They said, look, it's high time Mr. President resigned because of what is happening. Okay, yesterday or thereabouts, the federal government went to court to really follow due process in proscribing these bandits and kidnappers as terrorists. It's been on for quite a while. The cry was there. The National Assembly still to no avail, not until yesterday, where eventually they were being pronounced, or they were ascribed, or let's say given the name terrorists. And many Nigerians clamoring for it. They heave a sigh of relief. Many are asking so many questions about it, saying if it is going to change the narratives, if it's going to change anything, or doesn't make our roads safer. Is it going to really reduce to the barest minimum the operations of bandits, kidnappers, and yeah, you can call them terrorists now if you want to call them that, yeah, in the country. With me here in the studio to talk about this, I have two wonderful guests, beautiful gentlemen. Join me to welcome another person down, Honorable Etiosa Igiebo. Yeah, he is a politician. He is also an entrepreneur, a businessman, a human rights activist, public affairs commentator. Etiosa, welcome to Politics Today.
Thank you very much, Wilson.
Appreciate your coming.
Good morning. Thank you.
All right. Well, we've seen him already. When you talk about activism, he's there. He's the president. Edo Civil Society organization.
No, network.
Yeah, network, yes. Civil Society, yes, in Edo State, right? Yeah, Emmanuel Obidi, welcome to Politics Today. I appreciate your coming.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Good morning, viewers and listeners.
Well, Nigeria's been crying over this, saying, name these persons terrorists. Treat them as such. So we'll say, it's a long time coming. Here we are. It's been done. What do you feel about this development, Etiosa?
Well, if it is what the country has been yearning for, I bet you agree with me that perhaps everybody feels some sort of sense of relief. I feel the same way. I think if any activities that has become criminal and is widespread across the country is causing pains and agony for the residents of that nation, I think whichever name they may fit that you want to call such organization is welcome. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people has lost loved ones. A lot of people's businesses has been turned upside down. To add to it, people are practically afraid to move freely in their country now, especially traveling by road or living in remote areas. So I personally think that on that note, if you ask me how I feel it's a good thing. I'm happy about it.
You're happy about it? It's a good thing.
You know, whatever add-on like benefits that comes with proscribing them as terrorists, you know, that would help reduce the activities of those criminals, will be a welcome development.
All right, it will be a welcome development. Emmanuel, do you have a contrary view or opinion to his opinion?
Well, thank you very much. I think beyond proscribing the bandits or pronouncing them as terrorists just now, we need to start looking beyond that. The question is, why does it take so long for the leadership of a nation like Nigeria to be proactive by nipping issues from the bud, by heeding to intelligence reports that can forecast the manifestations of some actions of either individuals or group or organizations from, you know, migrating from one level to the other. The presidency cannot tell Nigerians that they were not aware, or there was no security report that could tell them before now that the bandits or the assumed area boys in the north, as some of the government officials referred to them some weeks ago, that their activities will get to the extent of killing, maiming, and destroying the image of Nigeria and even our economy. Somebody has to take responsibility, and the government of the day has to take responsibility. It shouldn't get to the stage where Nigerians are being killed, where our resources are being destroyed, where our people are being kidnapped, and money nicked from them, before we take the step of declaring the bandits that have been operating in some places in the north that are spread even into other regions as terrorists. So, going forward, we want to see a more better approach to Nigerian situation. When they were killing the Talakawas, when they were killing the masses, nobody saw them as terrorists until they transmogrified to the level of killing both the sons and relatives of the members of national assemblies, and the elites are now beginning to see it as even a threat to them. They've forgotten that when you give good governance to the people, it will affect both the rich, both the poor, both the Muslims, both the Christian, and everybody. So I want to say it's a step in the right direction, but it's rather coming too late. And somebody must take responsibility. What happened to the families that have been killed? What happened to those that were kidnapped on the highway? What happened to coppers who were going to serve the country that were killed? What even happened to our gallant men, Nigerian soldiers whose deaths are avoidable if the right thing were done at the right time, if right intelligence were heeded to? So I don't think we should just take it that yes, they've been declared bandits and that is all.
All right.
How should they be handled from now?
Now that should be a next question. But before that, he said it's coming rather too late. He gave an example of those that have lost their lives, that have paid millions in terms of ransom to these persons, that someone should be held accountable. Is it too late by your own assessment?
Well, first and foremost, I want to pick on one of the words he said when he talked about intelligence reports.
Yeah.
Reaching out to the center, the presidency, are they going to turn around and say they never knew? The only thing that flashed in my mind at that point, aspect of the, irrespective of the questions you've asked, is whether or not he was privy to that intelligence report. You know, in most cases, they said the justice is blind. When we say things and assume things in our own rights, because we are human beings and we're intelligent animals, we tend to build opinions based on what we feed into our system, data collection. They will tell you, did you see it? Do you have such evidence? I believe if they ask my brother, they may not have it, but perhaps that doesn't necessarily discountenance or discredit what he has said. But I want us to face reality here. That is why I have to pinpoint that aspect first. In terms of it coming rather too late, you and I know that if we have to live with reality, and we needed to be sincere with ourselves, the way this country operates, even he who is an activist knows quite well that there's a lot of things about the country that has not been working. I'm particularly happy that he's a bit of a younger, matured brother, just like as we are. He cannot play ignorance to how this country has been working, the workings of this country for many years to come now. Who do they ever hold responsible when things go wrong? Which mechanism or which system has been working robust enough to hold people accountable. Perhaps he's just probably made a point, which I feel in retrospect, in terms of hindsight, maybe idiomatically, I would want to agree off camera, but I'm on camera, that maybe because this situation is affecting certain people within the certain class in the country, all of a sudden actions is being taken. But take that back to how those people got to those positions. You and I voted for them. And these guys came with the bargain, they did what they had to do. That is not particularly constitutional right in most cases. You send them out there to do what they need to do, bro. They said your guess is as good as mine. When you decide to trade off your rights, and you have people who are not good enough to represent you, whatever you get, you should bear it. Because they say when you're man enough to make one, you should be man enough to take care of one. A lot of the people that are representing us did not vote themselves into power. But by the time you see the right guys who are supposed to do the needful, where there's complacency, because I agree with him that in terms of the checks and balances, you talk about the presidency now, just an arm of government. You're not talking about the judiciary, you're not talking about the legislative aspect of government. Where are these two other people? What are they doing to oversee what the center is doing? They're all complacent to a large extent. So when we talk about these issues of the banditry and how they've been prescribed and why it has taken too long, yes, I agree. Nobody deserves to die because somebody has been brainwashed to do a certain thing. Whether it is through the northern region, the western region, or the eastern region, or the southern region, we all know that the country is not operating the way it should be. It's not a north and south thing, because I keep saying that the problem the southerners have is the southerner, or the problem the northerners have will be the northerner. Remember, he just said, these people that have been killing people or maiming people in the north are northerners that they're killing most of the time. So which aspect of the northerner becomes a different ballgame, which you and I cannot say for sure because we were never there. So in the long run, everybody shares in the blame of how this country has come to such a pass. Things are really not working. The checks and balances are not working. The judiciary system, the legislative system. Most of the time when they talk about security, if a state has a problem and the banditry or people are doing something that is wrong, not that when they arrest them, they don't treat them like criminals, but perhaps they are talking about using maximum force and having a constitutional backing, which is a good calling from anybody who loves the creation of human beings, which is what I also support. But at the same time, the governors of each of these different states gets loads of money every month. We're talking about loads of money to create security votes. Security votes. Because, I mean, these bandits you're talking about, they are people who are localized people who live in this community. They choose to turn the idleness and the lack of perhaps investment or proper engagement in terms of people graduate and they have nothing doing into criminality because the system is not strong enough or not widespread enough, organized enough to tackle these things on time. So it is not a problem that happened yesterday. And it is not a problem you can solve today. So the government of the day, why I keep, most of the time I'm a bit liberal with the presidency, is that be a head of an institution in this country. They said if you want to know how difficult Nigerians are, set up a WhatsApp group. Have 3 people there. Trust me, they will end up fighting each other. So to sit as a president in the country and you want to respond to everything spontaneously the way people make you want to feel, evidently you get it wrong. So this thing has to be taken step by step and eventually, you know, get
Thank you so much, Etiosa, for your opinions on that, because he said if they really rush into the situation, they may just fail in the approach, hence the delay by you. What have to say about that?
Mr. Wilson, sir, you see, we don't pray that we lose anybody. You know, people talk sometimes. Maybe perhaps they've not lost a close relative or a close one to some level of failure of system, due to some level of failure of system or failure of government. Sometimes they talk and they see these things as maybe very easy or very, you see, just in December, the World Human Rights Day will be marked. And the theme is equality. Okay, Noxing has been in the forefront in pushing that. In a system that you want to succeed, as a government, providing good governance for the people, if you don't put equality in handling critical issues that has to do with national security, you might have big problems. when the body language of authorities begin to reflect the fact that some certain crime are kind of, you know, identified or associated with some certain kind of individuals, religious or ethnic nationality, you begin to see that other criminal elements who have perceived that there's some level of impunity that those criminal elements are enjoying, they begin to put on the toga of that same criminal element to perpetuate their crimes. We have had some allegations alleged from different quarters where kidnappers and bandits or terrorists, as you like, have been herdsmen, as you like, have been arrested in some quarter. And when you take them to the station, before you get to the station the next day, you won't find them. Now, you see other people begin to want to associate themselves to that level of criminality. When the issue of bandits started in the north, it started at the time they said they are area boys that are trying to get government attention, and as such they should be giving some level of attention and negotiations. From negotiations, these people were moving 200 children. They were moving hundreds of persons at a time, kidnapping them. At a time, we now have a chief negotiator, somebody who mediates between government and bandits to negotiate the release of those that have been kidnapped. Sir, it is not acceptable. This body language that authority gave, that to some extent these criminals should be pets and they are accepted, they should be negotiated with and all of that, get the room that's evolved to the extent that they can kill hundreds and maim people with impunity.
But he said the government needs time to understudy for them to really make the right decision. That's what he said.
What time do the government need that has to take how many years? No. Look, we know there is problem in Nigeria. Yeah. Nobody should come and tell us again that there is problem in Nigeria and I need time to fix. Every politically appointed or elected individual were sent there to solve the problem we have in Nigeria, and they didn't meet it there. They met the problem there, so they were aware of this problem before they get to office. So it's not a new thing, sir. So you cannot tell me that there is pothole here and you need time to study the pothole before you fix it. Where we are paying, we are budgeting millions of nairas for our security agencies, people who are thinking for us in terms of security. We have people who are thinking for us in all facets of the economy, and you say you need time to study. And no, it does not work like that. You need time. People are dying. Right. There's what we call, I'm coming, sir. Right. There's what we call proactive actions. When you identify a case, okay, immediately you have to be proactive, not when damages have been caused. Okay. What I said is that now that we are here, thank God that we are here, but what has happened, and people must take responsibility. People don't take responsibility of what happens in this country, including government and government officials. That is why you see things are done the way they like in this country. All right. So people must take responsibility before we move forward.
All right, he's still harping on the need for people to take responsibility, talking about government officials, even us as citizens taking responsibility. We shouldn't sweep what happened in the past under the carpet regards to kidnapping, banditry, you just name it.
Yeah, so the truth of the matter is, I wouldn't accept it from anybody to tell me or say that we identifying the fact that there is problem endemic in this country, not just in the aspect of security. We also looked at the aspect of the economy. We also looked at the aspect of social and welfare. We looked at the aspect of different facets of life, of what makes life bearable. You can agree with me that there are more problems within this country that has not been particularly placed in the environment that it should be. You cannot be traveling from here to Lagos, for instance, and at the end of the day, you have a bad vehicle and it breaks down. What I don't personally support is the idea of looking at things from that ethnic aspect of things, the ethnic aspect of view.
Yeah.
I must tell you today, as an individual, I have more friends, more people who are more genuine from the north, other parts of this country compared to the southern part of this country. So, because we are nationalists and we are Nigerians, when we're doing anything or saying anything, we must kind of maintain that resilience, especially when we're already those who are in the forefront that people look up to, or rather talk about having emotional intelligence to address things in a win-win situation.
Emotional intelligence. Could you please expatiate on that?
You know, emotional intelligence in the sense that my brother here just identified the aspect of people. Nobody wants to lose a loved one. I agree with him. I don't want to lose a loved one. I don't wish that even my enemy or somebody that I perceive that I don't get along with should lose a loved one. Because sometimes when people do battles and they have a disagreement on issues, it should be on the intangible idea, something that is not physical. Just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean you should send a hit at them. You can disagree and say, well, that person is XYZ. The emotional intelligence that I'm talking about is that when things happen, people tend to boil and lose control of their emotions and end up doing things that will lead them to a lose-lose situation. And at the end, the circumstances they are trying to fight remains that way. They say when you fight to run away, you live to fight another day. If you want to tell me about holding people responsible and dragging people's emotion back to things that has happened that you and I knows we have no control over, and now we now have a new leaf, and the bandits have been proscribed now. Why not take advantage of that tangible value of the bandits that have been proscribed? It is easier said than done. Like my adage, they say those who are not at home will say, well, oh, the police came here. If I was here, I would have done X, Y, Z. But when you put them in a true situation, they'll crack up like cookies. To me, I think we as Nigerians, we already had it bad enough. I think we should always try to understand a point where we can sell out a message that people are listening to us to have a kind of a sixth sense rethink to understand that it is better we forge ahead and trying to find a way to fix things than to be retrogressive and constantly wallow in our own displeasure and at the end nothing moves forward. I just talked about the representation and I will hammer back on that again. Somebody must represent you. Like for instance, I would say the governors. I said something about the governors and the security vote. But today, I'm not the biggest fan of Governor Obaseki. But I'm a sincere person. I'll say things how it is. The vigilante group that he set up, they are not getting paid. We have been contributing money and supporting these guys in our own ways.
All right.
And at the end of the day, you can agree with me that whether or not the VGN they are properly paid or not. And volunteers came out. I can assure you that you agree with me that the criminality in Edo over this period of time has reduced to a large extent. In those days, several years back, December like this, you hear a lot of robbery, bank robbery, people getting robbed. We're almost in December now. Good or bad, VGN is more like the man is right in front of you. It's in your community. It's in a house next door to you. So people are reluctant to commit crime. So the governor may not be paying them as such, but he has brought up an idea that I personally will come and see on TV, not because I have a relationship with him, that good enough, that thing is kind of working out. So with a little bit more push, or maybe you pay these guys, more people will be volunteered to work in their different community. They identify those who are losing the community. They identify those that come from the outside to rent one room, and they commit crime at night and make people's life miserable. Evidently, you have something working. From the time of the VGN till now, it's probably over a year and a half to two now. But we are now benefiting the impact now. It's not enough to be on TV and yell and scream on top of your voice. And when you step out of this place, you can't even reach the authority or speak to them on anything that you feel you should do now. We all are the government. Everybody must play their role. I am not saying that I'm in support of banditry. I am not saying that somebody should not be held responsible, accountable. You tell me if I want to throw the big question. Who has been held accountable? Is it somebody that is that is in government that has immunity? In our country, we are very nonchalant. We have this attitude of when time goes past, we scream and scream, a new government comes, all things shall pass away. We don't go back to it. But in a civilized nation, when institutions are working, when there are checks and balances, where you see proactive steps to issues like this, even when people are being killed, you see the slow approach because they know that the manpower is not there. They
All
know
right.
that, a lot of things are not working. So at the end
All
of the
right.
day, you have to take your time.
All right, no, so,
Get it
well,
done.
like what you say you're not a fan of the governor. I believe that he has many fans, but though you said also you love what he's doing about the vigilante group, but money should be given to them. That aside, that aside, now that have been called terrorists, now that have been called, the name that Nigeria have been clamoring for them to be called, do you think it's going to change the narrative, Emmanuel?
Yes, but very quickly, sir. You see, my brother here just made an example of the VGN in Edo State, the action of Governor Obaseki. That's an idea, an example of being proactive in responding to security situation. And that is in the Edo State context.
If I must observe
Excuse me, sir.
Hold on. Now he has the floor later. Just take what he's saying. You react later.
Now you see, these are the kind of ideas that push good governance in every system. When you involve the people, like we just said. Now you see, idea rules the world, sir. You don't need to budget hundreds of millions for our security, and at the end, bandits and herdsmen and what you have are dropping our Tucano jets every day. Okay?
Well, you just exaggerated. They are not dropping our Tucano jets every day. Please, we are cutting off exaggerations, please.
Sir, please, sir. We have seen reports where our jets, our fighting jets, were dropped. Okay, these are reports in the media,
but not the way you exaggerated.
Now I'm coming, sir.
Okay.
Now what am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? Volunteers in Edo VGN, involving the locals, involving the local security or community in tackling security issues. Okay. Now, when we were growing up, you see these herdsmen that we see today. We knew them with sticks. What became herdsmen today? We knew them with stick. They are controlling cow and all of that. And later, we started seeing them with dagger. And we were told that in certain religion or ethnic religion, that holding knife and dagger is part of their whatever. Okay, it's part of it. So when you go to the north and you see a man with dagger or a northerner with dagger, it's okay. But when you see a southerner with a dagger or a machete, he will be called for questioning. Okay? After some time, we got to understand, they start telling us that because of cattle rustlers, dagger, bow and arrow will not be enough for a herdsman to protect his cow. And he has to start using AK-47 about, carrying AK-47 about, to protect his cow and his activities. Meanwhile, even as at some time, hunters, local hunters here in the south cannot even license a local gun. They will mop up weapons. Even for those who license their weapon, it is a big problem. Now you begin to see inequality or inequalities in the system that gravitate into today what we are seeing herdsmen being part and affiliates of terrorist organization. They are now holding AK-47 and they are now holding even more sophisticated weapons than our military today. Now, what is security intelligence? How does security intelligence comes into governance? By forecasting security threat at the incubation stage. That is where good governance and intelligence come in. Let nobody start to start paying lip service to what is reality. Today, sir, what herdsmen has turned into, it has affected our security, it has affected our economy, it has even affected food availability because even our farmers can no longer go to farm. It has left the northern region and it has moved even to some certain state. This thing is now creeping and overwhelming the country. But if a proactive step was taken at a time, I remember the popular speech of Mr. President in 2015, sir. When he came in and he made a speech, part of the phrase in that speech said, I belong to nobody and I belong to everybody. Why a lot of people applauded that statement? Some of us said only time will prove if Mr. President belongs to somebody or belongs to certain individual, religious individual, ethnic, or belongs to a certain a region in the country.
All right.
And a lot of people today, which is also affecting our insecurity, I've seen it very clear. Let's look at the line,
Emmanuel,
of appointment.
Emmanuel, hold on.
Both in our security aspect and in other aspects.
Emmanuel, calm down.
No,
hold on. Emmanuel,
thank you.
You
very
are
much.
going down memory lane.
Which is very important.
It's very, very important. Yes,
in
you're right.
addressing
Yes, but right now,
present issues and even the future, sir.
This is where we are now. They've been named terrorists.
Good. Now, in this aspect, now they've been named terrorists. Let it not be on paper. How are terrorists treated and engaged?
Hold on.
You don't engage.
I'll come back to you on that.
Thank
I'll come
you.
back to you on that. Etio, sir. The question is still hanging. Now that they've been named terrorists, would there be any different ways of treating this bandit? Is it going to change the narrative?
Well, you've asked a good question. You see, in my adage, you don't tell a kid that was beaten not to cry. When you're on a public platform like this and you're trying to make sense of a conversation, and maybe perhaps there's a resenting opinion, it is always good you will always go back to that instance. Before I answer your question, well, I talked about the governor and I mentioned what he did. I don't want to be a religious bigot, and I cannot be one. We call ourselves Nigeria. The issue of secession is, you see all the problems it has caused from the south, not from the eastern part of the region to the southern western region. Yeah. You saw what it has caused to Sunday Igboho and then the Kanu. I was never a supporter of such approach to being a secession. When you have governors in your area that you could have voted in, they've been there in power, they should be the one you hold accountable for the lack of development in your area. All this religious and ethnic sort of conversation and throwing arrows from one region to the other doesn't make any sense, because all allocations has been given to you, all your resources in terms of what you are contributing, your IGRO, you are getting your money in your region. Use it to develop your place. Go to Enugu, they will tell you Enugu is like Little America or London, because why? The people there has worked. Religious bigotry is something we must try to avoid. When it comes to the issue of the VGN, where were the governor when Edo Central, the Eastern people came together to raise 80-something million or thereabout to help their VGN when we get over 750 million naira every month? I could have questioned that, but I don't want to be retrogressive and be negative, because I'm not just trying to use that to quantify time. This is just a Edo state, and it's jumping on the bandwagon to talk about the positive aspect of the VGN. In quotes that I said that they are not being paid. We are contributing money in our own little instance. You didn't question the fact that there is lots of money coming to the state, and what the governor is doing with it, can he account for it? I don't want to go into all that. I'm already just trying to address the issue that you have answered. We are talking about Edo now. Then you are talking about the whole country. If it has taken almost 2 years, if you listen, open your ears and listen well, it's taking 2 years for VGN that is not being paid to become slightly effective, which is the positive side that I want to grab in this society. We must start to think positive now. Look about Nigeria as a big country. So many ethnic different groups, people with different orientation, people who are not really exposed and educated to a large extent, people that you can easily brainwash and they can detonate bombs against themselves. At the end of the day, the instances, we have a problem, and they've been proscribed. That they've been proscribed, it should also commend the national office or the presidency for allowing such things to take place.
But is it going to change anything?
It will. Now that the aspect of proscribing them has played out, like I was reading online, it has a lot to do with how much force you can use on these people. If you can use more sophisticated weapons on them, if you can actually bomb them. The US government, speaking through the consulate, said some of the equipment we've given to you, we've given them to you to only fight people who are proscribed bandits or maybe terrorists. You cannot use it on armed robbers or banditries or people who are committing little crimes with light weapons. We must look back and look at the value system. We must look at what the book is saying, because not just speaking and looking. If you look at social media and then come to a national TV and speak ill of a particular idea because emotional intelligence is low, with all due respect, it means that you are using Google as a reference point in all you do. If you're an academician and you have gone to education to a very high level, you should know that there's a difference between Google Emerald and Google. Because whatever you put online or you write on your online system in any platform, Google picks it up.
All right.
But with Google Emerald, these are information that have been verified over and over again.
Gentlemen, the question is still hanging. Is it going to change anything?
It will change a lot of things.
All right.
And this is a big country.
Yeah.
You need time. And the presidents can release money. Thank God he said they've released a lot of billions. You release money to people to do the needful. You will not be there to personally spend those money yourself. You'll be relying on your fellow brothers and sisters, fellow Nigerians who are within the system to utilize that money properly. Look at the Dasuki's issue when they talked about money was moved XYZ. We must understand that this country as an entity is not an easy place to get things done. And we must, with all due respect, try not to pour more fire or more petrol in this fire, that it will keep burning and eventually consume us. We must try to look at a positive strength. That is why I refer to what the governor has done as XYZ. Not that I'll rate it. If I have to rate it like he was saying, I'll give him a 0, because you can't give people a job and don't pay them.
All right, thank you so much. When we have a government official to really talk about this, I'm going to pair you and a government official to really talk about the vigilante group. But right now, focusing on, yes, bandits as terrorists, matters arising. Is it going to change anything? 052-290-573 is the number to call to be part of this show. Hello. Good morning. Welcome to Politics Today. What's your name and where are you calling from? All right. Okay, Pastor Sonny, go ahead. Hello, Pastor Sonny.
I am Pastor Sonny.
Go ahead. Okay.
I want to thank the panelists in the station for their presentation. The fact is that, like the other woman said, there is what we call proactive action. You know what happened in the US some time ago when the day-to-hour was bombed? The FBI got information, but they refused to respond. That is why there was a lot of destruction there, and a lot of lives were lost. The government cannot tell us that they don't have information before now. What is the DSS doing? I know that our DSS is very intelligent. They have all this information. The truth is that we must call a spade a spade. We must call a spade a spade. There is a problem. There is a problem. And there is still to be proactive. People are people, especially about for security. What is doing? So the truth is that he can't go for the future, but my contribution is that he's coming to it. I don't know maybe because of ethnicity. I don't know if you take that to prescribe for. I don't know if you take the time. Obviously, the young man who came out on Facebook, maybe on channel television, when he was mentioning people around. Now, what have they done?
All right.
All this is not the right thing. We should not call it the thing.
Okay, thank you.
I thank God they prescribed it, but it was too late. The government is not proactive. They have all the information. Somebody should try to come up to them.
All right.
God bless you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Sonny. 052-290-573 is the number to call. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning. Welcome to Politics Today. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Bright. I'm coming from.
All right, Bright, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Bosho.
Yeah.
I am not very clear what the man on Red Cap said about the vigilante in the central. Then number 2, bandits, whatever name you call them, whether terrorists or terrors, that name cannot fight against them. It cannot change anything. The moment there are some insiders that are helping these people, for example, if you see your screen, you are scrolling somebody, that is taking some medical trip to Kogi State, to the hemisphere. And these are bandits, these are terrorists, these are henchmen. Somebody in this country said he's going to supply them with medical and other things, and nobody is saying anything. So what is that thing you call them cannot change anything?
All right, thank you.
The first question to be answered, please, by the man. So what did he say? 700 million or so? I don't know.
No, he was talking about the security, but they contributed money to take care of their own vigilante outfit in the ASAR region. That's what he said.
Some people did.
He said what the ASAR people did, that they contributed money to really fund their own security network, about 80-something million. And he said, as a rumor has it, that somewhere something million has been sent or whatever.
Security vote were doing around 750 million.
Anyway, now since I don't have the exact figure, I want to leave it at that. So hope you've gotten the information clear. Okay, let's take this call. Hello. Hello. Good morning. Welcome to Politics Today. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello.
I can hear you. Good morning. Please do call back now. He mentioned Gumi. Yes. Now, since they've been, hold on. Since they've been called terrorists, is it going to change anything? We'll talk about the relationship between Gumi and, of course, this said persons right now is being formalized, is now official. From a report, I believe that anyone dealing with terrorists, what do you think that person or group of persons should be called?
Very quickly, sir. I don't want anybody to come on air and try to arrogate the glory to himself of sponsoring Edo VGN and all of that. Civil society network in Edo State, we have constant engagement quarterly with the Commissioner of Police, and even the VGN. Okay, somebody can tell me that.
Just hold on. Let's go. Hello. Hello.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Welcome to Politics Today. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Manuel. I'm calling from Kano State.
All right, Emmanuel, go ahead.
I like what the man is done. That's how we are here. You see, because this is the country where we have a safety that 3 acts of government are condemned by the one coming to, is it a...
I didn't get that.
That's our contribution.
All right. Though I didn't get it. Thank you. So continue with your...
Now, security is beyond funding. I will keep on saying it. Our quarterly engagement with the CP of Edo State, every quarter in our civil society, cross-pollinate idea. I remember when the CP come, people were even kidnapped from church. He has to start sending policemen to strategic churches with uniforms. You can tell me that VGN are not totally, or the funding is not adequate. Don't tell me that they are not being funded, because we are also engaging these persons and we see what they are also doing. And we have other persons who are also giving them intelligence reports. It's beyond funding. Let nobody arrogate that to himself. Okay. Now let's come to the naming bandits as terrorists. Sir, Boko Haram has been named as terrorists. They are still operating. We still have sympathizers, people who sympathize with them within authorities. We see how people who supply them weapons. We see how people who supply them vehicles, diesels, who supply them motorbike that they can use to do this operation. Sir, are we saying what this government promised us, that they were going to publish the names of Boko Haram sponsors? Now, are the sponsors of Boko Haram also the same sponsors of bandits that have transmogrified into what's it called, terrorists today? Now, if you don't cut off demand, if you don't cut off supply, demand will always, if demand is always there, there will always be a supply. Who are the people behind the bandits and their activities? Who are benefiting from their ransom when they kidnap and you pay them? Right. Who are those? Whose account is it going to? Let's start from engaging those people who are sympathizers and sponsors. These persons, what does it take to buy an AK-47? Okay. Can a poor man buy an AK-47 and sponsor bandits? All right, so come back let's to you. Look inward. This government must look inward, okay. And they must be sincere in addressing this issue of insecurity.
Thank you so much. I'm going to throw 2 questions at you. The Gumi factor, because the one negotiated between bandits, kidnappers, that have been called terrorists. where does he stand? And knowing fully well that there have been called terrorists, right now they've been named terrorists, do you think that the military presence in all states of the Federation inflicted by kidnapping or bandits?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the last time, I want us to move on if you have to move on, because
Yes.
Talking about arrogating XYZ to yourself and not really understanding, because to be a good talker, you must also be a good listener. Maybe when you listen correctly. You know, I'll leave that on that level.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep going back and forth retrogressively over an issue that doesn't make any sense.
All right. Well, back to the question.
Nobody said they were funding XYZ. I only said in my area we're helping them. These guys are my friends. A lot of these guys who are in VGN, they are my friends.
Yeah.
And one of the guys who contributed money to the Eastern agenda, they are my friends. So if you don't understand, I don't know what else to say.
All right.
But in terms of prescribing it that way, I think it's going to give Gumi as a person some sort of a restriction now to a very large extent in terms of openly engaging himself with people who, because of whatever reasons, because we as Nigerians, we tend to always have this ethnic bigotry in us. We always tend to look at things from the point that, oh, he's my brother, when they do anything, pack in the back and can get away with it. I don't want us to come to national TV and start making it look as if cattle herding is not a business that exists within his ranks. You know, I still communicate with people who herd cattle today. And it's a big business. If you have 20 cattle in your head, a group of cattle, bro, calculate how much money is that. So if people come and rustle the cattle and get you killed, you've lost a lot. That is the one aspect. Tomorrow, in this Edo state, a lot of people still move cattle. They don't have problems with anybody. There is no things that happen that do not have a bullwhip effect. Yes, there is a level of complacency. It's not just with the center alone. It's across the different states. And Gumi moving from one place to the other, creating unnecessary issue, making it look as if maybe it is the genuine cattle herders that are the problem, that people have not taken advantage of being a cattle herder. Like in Ogun State or Oyo State, they caught somebody who dressed in a Fulani outfit to commit kidnapping. Do you know what I'm saying? We go to school and everybody get taught something. We all come out with different grades. You see what I'm saying? So I do believe that Gumi now, I've tried to understand his engagement with the bandits and been able to communicate with them and say, well, bandits, they needed this and needed that. Maybe there's a political undertone that I don't really know about, because I don't want to come here and start guessing, speaking with so much facts, and at the end, these things are online forever. Tomorrow they will hold you accountable just like they held FFK, not wanting to ever join President Buhari, and today he said the man is a good man. So we have to be careful not to let our emotion control us rather than we controlling our emotions. So I think it will make it difficult for Gumi to continuously engage with people who are now proscribed as terrorists. If that law stands.
All right. Now, what about your question about military presence in each state of the Federation that is, like, you know, inflicted by banditry and, of course, kidnapping?
Yeah, well, the military are here to defend and protect us. Most of the jobs ordinarily should be done by the police force. You see, the police, sometimes I feel like the police thing has become like a laughing stock. You know what I'm saying? It's not just about sitting with the CP and holding periodic meetings. All the CPs that have been here, outside this current CP now, from Damalamna DIG to Tanko Jumeta to AIG Yakadi to the man that left before this guy came, we've always had very close, intimate relationship. And we have time to discuss things that affect us on this level. And these issues of banditry was happening in my local government, in Oriomo, and it was also happening in Nwonde, and at the time it was happening in Ovia local government. To a very large extent, you agree with me that the issue of banditry spread across from the north to the southern region, and it became such a problem that proscribing them from what I would want to understand until maybe I have more information on it, we stop people from being openly able to associate with them.
All right.
So in the north, they will tell you, what about Nnamdi Kanu, what about Sonny Ogboho? These people were doing X, Y, Z that was criminal in any way or form, which we didn't see why people are affiliating with them.
All right, thank you so much, Tiosa. Well, Emmanuel.
Yes, it's obvious that, you know, sometimes my brother here don't have proper information as regards how these things are happening behind the scenes.
You cannot say that proper information. You cannot say that because it's not opinion on you. You understand?
On how to tackle the now they've been pronounced terrorists also. Sir, even in the Western system, you don't negotiate with terrorists. You can negotiate with agitators. You can negotiate with people who are aggrieved. Terrorism is an ideological crime. Until you whip out or you wipe out that ideology and belief of those certain criminals called terrorists, so you can't change them. They don't have sympathy. Okay, so negotiating with terrorists in Nigeria or this aspect of bandits should be out of it. There is no terrorist group in this country that has the intellectual capacity, I will say this clearly, the weapons, and also the resources that is at the disposal of the federal government. There's no terrorist organization that have any of such to match us. We have gallant military officers, with all due respect to our military men. We have intellectual policemen in this country, including the Edo State, and we have credible intelligence. These, if you put them to work, sir, they will work and deliver results. The problem has been the political leadership giving the necessary environment for our security agency to work and do the needful, and results will come out.
Our time is
so
up.
let nobody underrate our security agencies. They have what it takes to do it. All we need is the will for it to happen.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Our time is up. You have 30 seconds each to summarize your points. Calling them terrorists. Is it going to be a vicious attack right now on these bandits and kidnappers? Is it going to make our roads safer, our communities safer, since they've been called terrorists? Over to you.
I think the Bible says Rome was not built in a day. So I'm a realist. I'm somebody that I'm high up there, but I don't really need to speak much of who you know or what you don't know. It's unfortunate that when you live a life of understanding where you know, people who are
lastly,
people who are secessionists or whatever live life in a certain way. Those who are people who are rebellious in terms of what is doing that is not right or wrong, you know, they also have a way of doing things. I personally think that now that they have been prescribed, let us wait and see.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Emmanuel, brief 30 seconds.
Yes, lastly, let's, the Mr. President in 2015 promised us that in 6 months, Boko Haram will be wiped out. Please, we want that promise to be fulfilled. In less than 6 months, let him wipe these terrorists and bandits.
Thank you.
And let equality be the order in addressing this issue.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Despite your views are divergent, you're going towards the same direction, a safer, better Nigeria in terms of security. Well, that's it on today's edition of Politics Today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. In due course, we'll hook up to Okada to bring to you the live broadcast of the 19th convocation ceremony of Nigeria's premier private university, Igbenedion University, Okada. Bye for now.